Hold the air. I see the subject inside. Looks like he's got a gun in his hand, and he's pointing at the clerk. Coz, I've got the south covered behind you. Watch the crossfire. Running southbound, Rob. He's coming right at you.
All units, Victor 3, Victor 5 are fighting with 1. Hold the air.
Victor 3, slow down. Subject in custody. Firearm recovered.
Copy that. Command clear. Subject is in custody for the robbery. Firearms recovered.
What's in the box? What's in the fucking box? Give me the gun.
Hey, Coz, welcome back in the studio with you. Hold Your Podcast in the house, man. Thank you so much. No place else I'd rather be than cutting it up with you, man. Yeah. We're teeing up another episode of What's in the Box. We're right on the heels of the episode with Hannah Idalski. Man, what'd you think about that one?
Dude, Hannah is a little stick of dynamite.
Isn't she, though?
She's a stick of dynamite. She's she wants to learn. You know what I mean?
Yes.
She's a sponge. She's got a hell of a sense of humor. She just is one of those people that is in this business for the right reason.
100%.
And you get all of her.
You do.
She doesn't vacate when it gets a little tough. She doesn't vacate when she's confused about something, or if she makes a mistake about something. She's ready to go, ready to learn, ready to improve.
Yep.
So that's a great episode. I had a good time.
Yeah, man.
Talking to
So did
Hannah.
I. She rocked it.
Yep.
So here we are with the box with the police tape on it.
Yeah,
There's
man.
only one way to get this started. You ready, bro?
Yeah, I'm ready, dude.
All right, man.
What is our record, Paper Rock Scissors, by the way?
Burn some dust here. Eat my rubber.
Dad, I think what you mean is burn rubber and eat my dust.
Whatever, Russ. Whatever.
All right, ready? Yo, I got you, bro. I got
son
you.
of a bitch.
I got you. So I won. I'll pass the torch
pass
to
it
you,
to
bro.
me? All right,
Yeah,
okay.
I'll pass it
All
to you. I'm ready.
Oh, it's a folded piece of paper, bro.
Oh, boy.
A lot of words on this mother. All right. Oh, dude. I haven't even read anything, but Pat Mueller.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Just got promoted. Well, but
yeah.
recently. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude. Love that guy.
Yep, me too.
Fantastic
Dude gets
kid.
it, man. And you want to talk about, we talked about before, the letters UTL don't exist.
Yeah.
That dude's got it.
Dude, he had it from day one.
Yep, that dude's
Dude,
got it.
there's a video out there. Listen, if I can FOIA this video, this is the best. Before we even get into this, dude,
man.
Pat Mueller is FTOing with Josh Treviglia.
Yeah.
Dude, they're chasing this guy, foot chase on the east side. All caught on body cam, dude. And Mueller is running. He's a little bit ahead of Josh. Josh still had a little speed over a legitimate 6-foot privacy fence, bro. I mean, he's up that thing like a cat. Gets over on the other side. But Josh runs up, opens it up. It's a door, dude. There's a hinge. He opens it up and
oh my God, bro. I love that's happened more than once, dude.
I swear,
man.
That video is the best. Pat worked his ass off to get over this fence. And then Josh comes behind him, true FTO fashion, opens the gate and just gets through. It was amazing. It was amazing. All right, let's see what he's got here.
Bring it.
Would you want your child to become a police officer in this day and age?
Wow.
What about young officers having children now as opposed to 20 years ago? Well, wow.
Yeah.
Listen, this box, it just is a lot more than I thought it was going to be, dude.
It is. That's deep.
Dude, this box
That's
was
deep.
sitting in Buddy's bar out in Holt after, what was it?
Silver Bells. Back in November.
Yep. And everyone's having a good time. And we put this thing out there, and we thought the level of maturity was going to be like on the bottom end, but wow.
Yeah.
These are great questions.
And we
man.
sure started that way. Why do everyone sleep together?
Yeah,
Remember,
yeah.
that was the first
The
one.
first
we're like,
one.
we're
toast.
I don't know how we're going to get to the bottom of this box, man. But
What a great
since then,
question.
dude, man, we're doing all right.
What a great question.
I feel like this is hitting me right right in the sweet spot here. History lesson of the Forrest family.
Yeah.
Right. My dad, Greg, we had him in here on an episode.
Yep.
My dad was an officer with Lansing PD from 1972 to 1998. Right. He left after his tenure and retired, and I came in from 99 to 2024.
Yep.
So I feel like this question is very relevant to me. My wife and I have got 3 kids.
Yeah.
We've got our son, Norman, he's 17. Then we've got our twin girls, Riley and Jalen, who are 13 going on 14, right? So not to disclude my girls, right? Because I look, we just had a whole mini series dedicated to women in law enforcement. Like, I'm not saying that my girls could never be cops or anything like that. Yeah. I'm just going on the track of my dad was a cop before me, and then me, and now I'm looking at my son.
Yeah.
Because he's the oldest, he's 17, and this and that. So Mueller's question of would you encourage your kids to be a cop in 2025? I really feel like that's hitting me the hardest, because when I was about 15, 16, right, I knew I was fortunate that I had in my mind, I had it figured out. I was going into law enforcement, right? Like, that was the track that I was on, and I was straight at it. And that's exactly what I did, right? I was not a good, I shouldn't say I wasn't good. I was an average student in high school.
Yeah.
Right. I did enough to get by. Mm-hmm. And then when college came, I was focused, right? I had a purpose. Like, at the end of this is I'm gonna work for Lansing PD. That was my goal. And because of that, I'm going to put the work in here going to college. And I did. And I did very well in college. Yeah. I did. And I had a wonderful career. And my dad encouraged me and said, very, very plainly, very direct, as my dad's style is, look, you're not going to get rich at this thing, but it's a good job and it's an important job, and you're going to have a lot of fun with it. And encourage me to do this job and to do it the right way. And I cannot say the same for how I am with my children.
Yeah.
I discourage my son.
Yeah.
I do not give him the green light to go into this job. And it hurts me. Yeah. I want to be able to roll the red carpet out, so to speak, like my dad did for me. And my dad taught me stuff and how to interact with people and his style and all this stuff, and getting to know the old timers back then. And oh my gosh, man, it was magical for me as a teenage kid in those days, man. And as I move forward, I look back and it's just, I'm so thankful, right? But I look at now, knowing what I know now in 2025, right? It's really hard for the police in today's culture to get the win. And when I say the win, I mean like the feeling like what we're doing is important. Right? You and I hired onto this job, even though my dad was a cop before me and yours was not. Like, we don't have a very similar fact pattern on how we landed here, right? Yeah. But one thing that we do have in common is we felt like we were drawn. We felt like we were pulled.
Yep.
Right? And I very much wanted the feeling that what I did on some very, very small scale, that it mattered.
Yep.
Right. The money part. It's a middle-class job.
Yeah.
Right. But it's never been about the money. Yeah. It's been more about making a difference.
Yep.
Right. It's always been for us about making, you and me, it's always been about making a difference. Always.
Yep.
But man, it seems like now that feeling of it mattered, that feeling of we made a difference, and we're not going to fix the world. We're not going to solve all the problems in Lansing, and we can't fix a lot of shit, right? And there's a lot of frustration, even then when we started, right? But man, I'll tell you what, we felt like in our little crack of the universe that we could at least make a difference there, and we could point to real examples with that family or with that. With that situation, it mattered, man. Right. And if you are having kind of a rut or whatever, but you hit that connection, and man, that it mattered. That's what recharged your batteries and kept you going. Right. And I say that to say that's where you and I really thrived. Right, is understanding that there's times where it mattered, and that's what keeps you going for times that it really, really sucks, because this job can be extreme both ways. Oh, yeah. It can be the best ride in the park, and it can be something that messes you up for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
right?
When you say thrived, it's one of those things where I think a lot of people, if they've managed their career correctly, they can look back and they can say that they've had moments where they've thrived in their career, right? So it's not like we're giving ourselves flowers,
right?
But when because I don't really give a shit, honestly. I worked for a lot of people. I worked for a lot of chiefs. I've had respect for every one of them. Did I disagree with some of the things? Sure. Along the way, did I disagree with some of my coworkers? Sure. But if the effort's there, you're driven by this purpose, right? So it's like you want to end the shift and you want to look back at some small victories, large victories, however they presented themselves.
Exactly.
I think we live in a society now where the idea of success is self-accolade. And it's very difficult to look at your child and feel like you can get in this career if you're not a self-accolade type of person. But I don't know that we can trust our kids the way your dad trusted you. Damn right. It was one of those generational things where your dad accomplished a lot in his career, and he knew what it felt like, and he knew that if you felt the same thing, you would enjoy the experience. It wasn't like he was fighting against this idea that social acceptance and likes and dislikes could affect you more than it should, right? Because when you and I strapped the uniform on, if someone didn't like the police, they just didn't like you,
right?
But that lasted like a fart in a windstorm for me. You don't like me, that's fine.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm moving on to the next person who needs some customer service or whatever the hell they need. I don't live in your identity, and I think that the young people have to navigate through a lot more of this stuff than we did. So the idea of handing the torch to from your dad to you made sense. Now you handing it to Norman is like, holy shit, he's got a lot more to navigate around, because the public perception is right. It can. We saw what happened in 2020. One single event got over politicized in a way that it literally has damaged 5 years later the productivity of hiring police officers in law enforcement. 5 years ago, and we're dealing with this issue now, and it's hard to look at your kids and say, yeah, get in there, man, have fun with it like I did.
You bet.
Because there's this added pressure of being overjudged, I believe.
You are for real. It's overjudged and overcriticized, right? And that sucks, man. And look, I understand body cams are here to stay, and they're very useful, have a purpose. I'm a favor of them. I know you are too. I get it, right? Like because it levels the playing field most of the time with if somebody's lying.
Yeah.
Right. And for that fact, I'm about it. Right. But the flip side of that is when you have everything that you're doing as a law enforcement officer recorded, it becomes, well, why didn't you do this? Well, why didn't you do that? Why didn't you do the other thing? And they live in the world behind a pause button. And bro, I'm going to tell you right now, that pause button is bullshit.
It is.
It's bullshit because we're pushing pause on something that we did in real time. We do our best effort in the moment when everything is recorded. And now you're challenged internally with, okay, well, now you have internal affairs saying, well, why didn't you do this? And why didn't you do that? Or you go to court and we're pushing pause and we're evaluating this moment by moment by moment.
It's the novice standard.
It is so unfair.
It's this novice standard of you don't know what you're looking at and you don't know how fast it was happening.
Oh, and true.
Listen, dude, this profession is not without error.
No.
And I don't care about that.
You say it all the time. Yeah. We can't pitch a perfect game. We're human damn beings.
I don't care about tomorrow's mistake that's going to make a headline. Because the headlines are far and few. And the news media, they can take advantage any way they want to. But at the end of the day, if you do this thing correctly, right, you should be protected by a body cam, by witnesses, right? If you're out here rogue and doing dumb stuff, well, then the hell with you. Yeah. You deserve what you get. I don't care about the mistakes that we make. This job is one of those kind of jobs that is as satisfying as any other, right? I mean, it is human help at the highest level. So when we look at our kids, we want our kids to have a profession that they get, that they absolutely love. We want to watch them as long as we can, through their 20s, through their 30s, through their 40s. We want them to be doing something that matters and that is purposeful. So I think both my kids, as far as the humanitarian in them, would be phenomenal as law enforcement people. But I think they've been over-influenced by this opportunistic type of media that we live in nowadays.
You're lying.
To question whether or not this is an admirable or honorable profession. And that's crazy. Like imagine that kind of pressure in the medical world. Imagine that kind of pressure in the accounting world, where even before you started, even before you started,
that's a great point.
You're at a deficit. It's like, why am I at a deficit? You haven't even given me a chance. Derek Chauvin does this thing over here, or this other guy does this over there, and whatever. And I'm just supposed to disregard the idea that I could be as happy and purposeful in this career as my dad was. But it's a lot of pressure, and our young people, I think they're asked to make an opinion about a lot of shit they know nothing about. And then they get on social media platforms and everybody's an expert, right? Everybody, you've told me before we even started this whole thing, dude. It's like, dude, we're not going to draw, we're not going to talk about numbers. We're not going to do this unless we absolutely know. Let's not put it out there.
Right.
But that kind of pressure you didn't have. I mean, so when your dad was courting you for, hey man, you could do this. He's absolutely right. And you did it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't come from that background, but my dad was the police of our home. He was the chief of our home.
Damn right.
He taught us what was right, taught us what was wrong, taught us to go out and do what we were supposed to. So if I felt my kids could handle the idea of dismissing social media platforms and politics, I would absolutely tell them. In fact, I've asked them. I think my daughter would make an amazing DNR officer. Her heart's in the woods. She's a fantastic artist. I think she would be a huge asset to the DNR, and I think my son would too. I think they would absolutely love the idea of waking up with a different task to accomplish, holding people accountable. Don't be out there, smacking bluegill down when you're not supposed to be smacking bluegill, or killing deer with a spotlight or something like that. It would give them this idea that they're connected to this big old rock that we float around on, and they have some type of purpose, right? Without the idea of thinking, it's DNR's. It's part of law enforcement. Law enforcement sucks because they target this person, they target that person. It's like, no, that's not the reality of it. So if I felt my kids didn't have that kind of pressure, I would absolutely encourage them.
We have made an example of a profession of this is a bad. Everybody that wears blue, so to speak, is y'all are bad, right? And I think that the backlash from that is young people looked at that and said, I don't care what it is. I'm not going to that. Why am I going? Like you said with the medical field, if everybody said being a doctor is racist, right? I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Why would I do that?
Why would I do that? I'm not going to that. I'll do anything other than that. Why am I going to be pulled to that?
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. They don't even get a chance to try.
They don't even get a chance to try.
Yeah.
So to answer Muller's question, would I encourage my kids? I would be lying. Like this is to answer the question direct. No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. And it hurts my heart.
Yeah.
Because you cut me and I bleed blue, bro.
Yeah.
Right? There's 50 plus years of police experience in the Forbes bloodline. And I hope that it stops with me because of all of the negativity surrounding this job now, drowned in that.
Yeah. If my kids got the itch and they wanted to try, the one thing I would ask them to do is to train. I mean, it sounds whatever, however that sounds. I want them to be able to engage another human being in a confident way where they come home. This idea of Darren Southworth said it best in the podcast that we had with him. This fallacy of de-escalation, right? The standard, the standard that the public holds. This idea that we're supposed to just sit there and this is what you signed up for. Listen, my daughter has a right foot from hell.
Yeah, man.
She was in kickboxing, and there's a lot of people that can attest to this.
Yeah.
If she sits down on her hips, she will kick your head off your shoulders, right? But she's got the heart of Texas, right?
She does.
So if she wanted to get in law enforcement, I would want her to know that she can turn that switch on and turn that switch off, because she would never go overboard. She would never exceed what she's supposed to do in the moment of physicality to get the person in control. There's not going to be any extracurricular bullshit. My kids are too. I'm taking credit for this, and I'm taking and for my wife too. We raised some dynamite kids, and your kids are dynamite too. They're not going to ever be a part of that stupid conversation, right? But I want them to have that ability. If they went in law enforcement, I want you to have that ability to move in, engage, control, and then everything else after that, look out. Because if you sit down across the table from my son or from my daughter, and they actually are invested in what they're doing, you're going to get the best freaking service you've ever had.
Damn right.
But if they don't have that other thing, that intangible,
that's right.
That I'll knock your ass out or I'll die trying. I don't think it's a profession for my kids.
Think that the hard wiring is to look at a perspective from somebody else's lens, somebody else's shoes.
Yep.
Right. And I think that a lot of young people struggle with that.
Yeah.
Right. Because they're implanted in electronics, and it's hard to feel how somebody else would feel in a situation that's traumatic.
Yeah.
When they don't have a lot of experience with that naturally, you know, but hey, Muller, dude,
damn,
is that good or what?
Listen, that's
no
me.
surprise. Hey, that's Rob and Coz talking from the heart right there, bro.
No surprise. This kid, you know, he's a sergeant now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I swear to God, if I get that video, we're throwing it on this dude, because
fair.
That's the best video. He got over the fence real easy, and so did Josh.
Yeah. Turns out the gate was easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Hey,
all right.
love you, brother. Thank you.
Too,
All right, man. All right, man.